Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show, radio to open the heart, heal the soul, and awaken the consciousness. I hope everybody's having a great morning. Benny, I think you're busy in the background there,
I
but
am, but I can pop in and say hi really quickly.
wow,
Hello.
thank you.
Yep,
It's always good to see your face.
Yours as well. We're in search of our light seeker as we're speaking, so hopefully we can get our guest on.
I just have to say that game.
Oh, I know. Which one? Last week or the one coming up?
Oh, yeah. Well, the one that we just had.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'll show you a little Seahawks. I don't know if you can see it. Seahawks is in there somewhere. I'm trying to keep it on.
I see it. I see
up
it.
Here, too. So.
I just wanted to say, I posted some pictures. I said a little Reiki.
Oh,
I'm
good.
sure that's okay. I'm sure we do, but wow. That first minute was like, or whatever it was, the first 10 seconds.
I believe 13 seconds. Yeah. And their kicker, you can't trip people when you're running with the football. You can't do that. So it was a good start to the game and ending as well. 41-6, I believe was the total.
Yeah. It was
Go Hawks, man.
Yeah, it was go Hawks. Somebody posted the funniest meme. They said, here's the Hawks with the 49ers. It was the Hulk just going slang.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, hopefully we can do that again this Sunday. And it's another big game, another trilogy game with a team that we've already played twice. And we have a 1-1 match again with the LA Rams. So this is it. This is for the marbles before the Super Bowl. So if we win this, we're heading. So I'm excited.
Woohoo. Yeah, I am too. So let's get going.
Basically what the Mariners did. You have to seize the moment, people. Right there. Seize the moment.
Yeah, I think that's the message for the day too. Seize the moment, everybody out there. Whatever it is, don't wait. Do it now. That's right. Thanks for that. Anyway, we I don't know. Here we are. What day is it? What year is it? What planet are we on? I am the owner of Reiki Oasis, located right here in the greater Seattle area. And there's always a lot of stuff going on over at Reiki Oasis. You can find out more about me at ReikiOasis.com. And I have, the day after tomorrow, which is Saturday, January 24th, I think, is my monthly class with women, the Temple of the Divine Feminine. And we always have such a good time in there. I think that more than ever, it's important to gather in groups right now. Kind of get you out of that, whatever it is you're doing. Please don't watch all the news. Do something else. Get with friends, get with family, do something positive. And you can join Temple through Zoom, or you can join us in person at Reiki Oasis, which is located in Bellevue, Washington. Beautiful Bellevue, Washington, by the way. Also, what else do I have coming up? I have a gong bath coming up on Saturday, January 31st at 10 in the morning. The last Saturday of each month, I will be holding a small gong bath at Reiki Oasis. I can only hold 5 or 6 people in this small, intimate gong bath. But it's one of the best ways. Gong baths, sound baths, crystal bowl baths, I do them all. The sound frequencies often help reset us. I say it's a tune-up. You can get yourself tuned up. But it's very important that we're aware of our frequency. Our thoughts, our emotions can affect our frequencies. What we are habitually exposed to, we will begin to sympathetically resonate with. So if there's a negative tonality that you're constantly immersing yourself in, you will begin to vibrate with that. And so sometimes we have to have a little bit of a concerted effort to lift ourselves up. Sometimes a smile, dancing first thing in the morning, jumping around, petting your cat, whatever it is, can help lift you. A song, right? And so I just encourage everybody to take care of yourself, take care of your emotions, take care of everybody else. And let's try to contribute a different type of energy to the world that we see around us. It's always my never-ending message. I do have a trip to Egypt that I am organizing right now. It's coming up. It will be October 4th through the 19th. It's a 2-week trip. And for anybody that's gone on my trips, we have a really wonderful time. And this is going to be luxurious. It's very luxurious. If you want information about that trip, you can send an email to reikioasis@gmail.com. And I will be getting the information for the trip out shortly. Like I said, I'm still in the middle of organizing it. I like to add something a little bit different each time. I do have people that go with me more than once, which indicates, I guess, they had a good time. It was okay. And so I do hope that you will think about it. It will be, like I said, later in the year in October. It'll be something for you to look forward to. Now, I want to go into astrology a little bit. We have so much astrology going on. We're headed into Aquarius, the Aquarius activations, prophecy, power, and the collective soul. And this week marks a major energetic threshold. The Sun, Mercury, and Mars all move into Aquarius. The Sun, Mercury, and Mars moving into Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign of humanity, prophecy, innovation, and collective destiny. Aquarius energy doesn't whisper, it downloads. It rules lightning, the higher mind, and the awakening of civilization itself. If you can imagine being struck by lightning, it would really, really change your life. And literally, when lightning strikes in our sky, it actually adds a certain amount of electricity. It's important for the earth to have a certain amount of lightning strikes. You can research that, through Google or someplace and find out what is the importance of lightning. But this is not about personal fate right now, this energy of the Aquarius. This is about group consciousness. So January 19th, we went into Aquarius. The Sun moved into Aquarius. It will be there until February 18th. We moved out of hardworking Capricorn into a collective energy. Aquarius energy is collective responsibility, moral courage, and humanitarian awakening. We also have Mercury moving into Aquarius. Mercury is truth-telling, whistleblowing, revelations, technology, and ethics. Boy, I think all of that stuff is up right in front of our faces right now for us to take a collective look at, individual and collective. Where do we find the truth? Where are the revelations? And what about ethics? Somebody asked me yesterday, she says, what kind of moral compass do you have, Loretta? And I went, moral compass is a great question. But we are often led by our own internal moral compass, how we treat others, how we treat ourselves, how we're guided by God or divine sources of information. And we need to become very aware of that these days. Ethics is an old word. When I teach my Reiki classes, I teach ethics, spiritual ethics, personal ethics. You need to have a code of ethics, how you're going to act no matter what it is that goes on around you. And then, of course, Mercury is going to bring all of this new technology, right? So we're going to be moving forward with that technology. We also have Mars in Aquarius. Mars, that fiery planet rolling around out there. Mars and Venus been having some kind of a conversation. I'm not sure it's a good one or a bad one, but they're having one. Mars is activism, resistance, and the courage to stand for your values. We've been having all of this energy of, the last, I'm trying to think, 30 years. We actually have some astrology coming up this year that hasn't happened for over 14,000 years. So we are up for big changes. But we've been sitting around dreaming, and a lot of us are like, it's time to roll our sleeves up. It's time to do something, bring our dreams into manifestation. We also, on January 21st, we have a Sun-Mercury Cazimi, where truth is becoming unavoidable. You're going to see that all over the place. On January 23rd, we have a Sun-Pluto Cazimi, where power structures are being exposed for what they are, and humanity chooses direction. Remember that we, the people, do have power, and collectively, our hearts, our consciousness, our souls, I think we're in the most pivotal time that we're ever going to see in our entire lifetimes. Get ready for the next 5 years. It's going to be a completely different world. And from 2025 to 2043, we have Pluto in Aquarius, rewriting civilization itself, governance, technology, healthcare, and freedom. The future is not fixed. Technology tests our morality, and compassion becomes the deciding force. So the astrology supports the theme of today's show, which is we are not here to fear the future. We are here to steward it in. I had scheduled Dannion Brinkley for my show today, and unfortunately we have a conflict. So we will go ahead and reschedule him and have him back on the show later. And in the meantime, Benny has a show all ready to go for us. Have a great
So with all of that wonderful energy, I've got a great gift today. A guest who is a gift. That is right.
Absolutely.
That's right. Life with kids is full of curveballs. Illness, bullying, or school struggles can throw any parent off track. How do you cope when the unexpected hits? My guest today is Allison Carmen, best-selling author, TEDx speaker, host of the podcast 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. I think we need that right now. She's recognized by Maria Shriver as an architect of change. Allison's transformative maybe mindset has been featured in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and even Oprah's Dictionary of Enlightenment. Her latest audiobook, Maybe Everything is Okay, A Parent's Guide to Less Stress and Worry, offers parents a powerful tool to embrace uncertainty with hope and resilience. And so Allison joins us to share how maybe can turn stress into possibility for you, your kids, your life, the world at large. Welcome to the show, Allison. It's so great to have you.
Oh, Loretta, it's so great to see you. And thank you for the astrology update and happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm fired up because I'm an Aries. So if I'm cranky, Allison, maybe, no, I'm just...
Hey, retrograde season's over, you said. So
yeah, I know. So we're going to be shot out of a cannon here pretty soon. So maybe that'll show up in your life in a great way too. By the way, I'm just having fun with Allison. Listeners, I want to remind you, Allison Carmen has been on my show before, and you can go back in the archives. We talked about, I think, a year without men or something, but we're going to jump into this. So, Allison, you say that you're a former addict. What were you addicted to? And how did you overcome it?
Well, I always say I was addicted to certainty. If I didn't know what was going to happen next in my life, I projected things are going to be bad or they weren't going to work out. I think a lot of us have that in society. The minute we don't know what's happening, the minute something unexpected happens, the minute we look into the future and we're like, that could never work out, we worry, we get stressed, and we kind of collapse within ourselves because we believe if we knew what the future would be, life would be great. And we forget that life is about the moment, it's about the experiences. So this addiction to certainty wreaks havoc in your life. And they actually have done a lot of studies that fear of the unknown increases cortisol levels. It affects people's working memory. I mean, it has such a large impact on our life. So we think it's just this mild stress, but it really is something that creates a lot of stress and anxiety and actually can affect your health. So for me, I always had this addiction from a very young age. It started maybe, I was worried about a boy liking me or my grades. But, as you get older, problems get bigger. And so I would stress about what was I going to do with my life. I was worried about my parents' health. And so what I did in my life is I started to write these stories of what needed to happen for me to be okay. And my big story started when I was 14 years old. I decided that I was going to go to law school. I was going to get a job at a large firm, make a lot of money, marry this great guy. And honestly, the balloons would come down and life would be certain. and I, it's funny, like I honestly believe that. And I pursued those goals. So for me, for a while, when something would come up, I'd be like, oh, it's all going to work out because I'm going to do these things. and then I won't have uncertainty. And sure enough, I went to law school, got the big job, married the guy who I thought was great at the time. And I remember walking to work my first day, like feeling like Mary Tyler Moore, like I'm going to make it after all, you know, with the hat. And my first day of work, glory was mine. The second day of work, they come in and they're like, we're firing half the first years. And I was a first year. And I didn't lose my job. A lot of my colleagues did. But that was the moment when I realized, because I had banked since I was 14 years old, that this was going to save me. And then all of a sudden I realized that uncertainty is always, life is inherently uncertain. And if we grapple with that, we're always going to have heartache and stress and worry. But for me in that moment, I collapsed within myself, because I was like, there is no certainty. So I started feeling sick. I couldn't sleep. I started doing yoga, veganism, meditation. But no matter what I did, when something unexpected happened, I spun out of control. And then one day I took up the art of Qigong, and one day my Qigong teacher told me this story. I'm sure some of your listeners have heard it before. And it was about a farmer. It's a Taoist story. He had a horse and the horse ran away. And his neighbor comes by and says to the farmer, you have the worst luck. And the farmer says, maybe. The next day, the horse comes back with 5 mares. And the neighbor comes by to the farmer and says, you have the best luck. And the farmer says, maybe. The next day, the farmer's son is on the horse. He falls off and breaks his leg. The neighbor comes by to the farmer and says, you have the worst luck. The farmer says, maybe. The next day, the army comes to take the farmer's son to war. They can't take him because his leg is broken. The neighbor comes by and says to the farmer, you have the best luck. And the farmer says, maybe. Now, in the Taoist tradition, the story means things are neither good or bad. But for me, maybe from the West, maybe being a hope junkie, I felt this pop in my chest, because my entire life never occurred to me, when the proverbial horse runs away, he can come back, and he could also come back with 5 mares. And so that night, I started to play with this idea of maybe. I started to play with this idea that the unknown is filled with potential, hope. The unknown is where your life changes. So I played with it at first just for stress. And I was like, well, maybe that thought's not true. And maybe you will get that client. And maybe that thing will work out. So all of a sudden, my stress started to alleviate. But what also happened is I became more present, because I was diluting my fears. And then I had more presence. And when I had more presence, I manifested more, created more. My mind was more open. But the most important thing is, for me today, it's been so many years, I love uncertainty, because I know that that's where the goodies are. And no matter what happens in my life, there's this hope within the unknown. And so I went from being addicted to certainty to loving uncertainty. And through this idea of maybe, there are many ways to get there. But for me, this story and the practice of maybe showed me that path, and eventually you develop faith. So that's the story.
Wow, I love that story. What a timely story, honestly. While you were talking, I was going, I quite often, when I'm working with people, they're talking about this, that, and the other thing. Like you said, there are a lot of things happening. People are having trouble finding jobs, or they're losing their jobs. There's a lot of sizing down, reorging, or, lots of things going on. And you're absolutely right. People come in and the very first thing is that they're tight, they're afraid, they're imagining the worst, and which, makes them start to spin.
Right.
And
And even if you're uncomfortable, life doesn't say there are not going to be hard times, but it's our rigidness and our fixation on the moment. Even if, there's trouble for 6 months, there's a cycle, there's a maybe. And when we shut down, it's harder to find our way out of it. And the pain, like for you to feel, I will never get another job, I'm going to lose my home, when that hasn't happened yet. And no one's denying the suffering, the pain, but there's this element that we forget, that uncertainty brings new things in. And when you're a part of that flow, you suffer less, but you also are on the playing field of infinite possibilities at all times. So it's not minimizing experience, but it's remembering that there's so much more potential than we could see in any given moment.
Yeah, I think it's very empowering, self-empowering. And I'm sitting here thinking that probably the very first thing that the mind does when you go, well, maybe this, it's like, well, maybe not. Right.
Right. We already
Right.
live in a maybe not. That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like within the field of the unknown, we're always in the maybe not, and we forget there's another side of maybe. All maybe does is it reminds you there's more to your life than that one fear. So it's always happening. So there are things you don't like, but there are things you do like. There are things you can have. And so I see that if you give someone a little light, that's all they need. So they could sit in full doom or gloom or realize, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, it cannot go my way, but it could also, maybe it could. And then you start elevating, you start lifting out of that, and you see that the road ahead has an infinite nature to it. So I think if you give somebody something other than that one fear, right? And our biggest fear in life is that we're not okay. And then
Yeah.
and then with maybe you realize that maybe there are many ways to be okay. And that's really the key. What's the most I can get out of this moment?
Yeah. Yeah. I like I said, I was thinking when you were talking, the fear, the anxiety, the tightness, but the idea of, well, what about maybe, even if you create the tiniest little bit of space in there, a little bit of breath or a little bit of ability to, like you say, what is the infinite possibility? What's really happening here?
Yeah.
And maybe I could do this, or maybe I could do that, or maybe it's not as bad as I think.
Yeah. Well, because we got it, we make our fears of the future absolute, and they're not. That's the most amazing.
Yeah.
Are you absolutely certain this fear is true? No, I cannot be absolutely certain of anything. That's the beauty. You can't be certain of the future, but you can't be certain of your fear. And that's when so what I do is I ask myself, what's my greatest fear? I'm afraid that the economy is going to get bad. I'm going to lose my job. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my house. I'm afraid I'll never fall in love again. And then you could ask yourself, because there's no certainty, are you absolutely certain that fear is true? Are you 100% certain? No, I cannot be certain of anything. And then you say, well, what else is there? And if you write these maybe statements 10 to 20 minutes at a time, you start broad. Maybe everything could still be okay. Maybe I could find my way. Oh, I wasn't thinking I could find my way. I was thinking everything was going to be horrible. Oh, I feel a little better. And then maybe I need to call this old friend. Maybe I need to go back to school. And all of a sudden, it gets larger and larger, and you're on this wider playing field. And you might still be stressed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's hope and there's more presence. And for me, when there's more presence, I'm more open. When I'm in fear, I turn my back on possibility. And when I have a little hope, I open up. So it for me, it's been it has saved me so many times. You know, it's funny, you think you're doing things to help the world. And I always say, beware of the lady who wrote the book. Because for me, maybe has, I mean, I cannot tell you the times it has saved me when I think, oh, Allison, this is, I mean, my husband left me. We talked about it last time, out of the blue. He came home one day and said, after 28 years, I'm leaving. And knowing that life had maybe was, even though I was devastated, I didn't think I was going to make it. There was this little thing in my mind that grew over time that, oh, I don't know what's going to happen next. That means maybe I could survive this. Even that is nourishment.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. It's like that drop of water on your tongue. You know, a lot of people though do that. That, like, for instance, somebody's going to leave them or they lose their job, and they grind and grind and grind away on, well, why, what, and it's stuck. They're so stuck. But I love this idea of maybe, right? Which opens up things. You have on your website, you have the maybe cards and the maybe journal, right? Yeah, well, I'm so glad you have them there. Maybe. Thank you.
Use them every day. Even me, I love them.
Yeah. I don't have them. I'm going to get them. I saw that on there and I went, oh, I love this so much. Tell us, you actually have the instructions written out there, but tell us a little bit about the maybe cards and what's a little practice that you do with the maybe cards, and maybe we can draw a card for the whole people listening.
Oh. Well, what I love about the maybe cards is that we don't realize how often during the day we get pulled out of the infinite nature of life, how we get pulled into this stress, because what happens, let's say you're at work and you think you were going to get that client, you don't get the client, or you're losing money for the quarter, or your boss was just upset with you. It is so easy to go into this really fixated, narrow place where I am so upset. Things are so bad. This is terrible. How are we going to figure this out? And for me, what I do is I keep the maybe cards by my side. So they're always there. So if I have one rigid thought, these maybe cards are by my side. And so let's say, like maybe there are more possibilities that I could see in this moment. So let's just say I'm saying, how are we going to grow this business? This little, someone might say, oh, well, that's not a big deal. This opens me back up. And I remember, I have no idea what's going to happen next. No matter what this moment looks like, life has maybe. And then for me, I just relax into the moment knowing, okay, maybe is always by my side. Okay, I'm not happy it happened, but I'm not as afraid and I'm more open. So that's what people do. They just leave it by their side. Most of the time people use it. They put it like before they go to bed, if they were stressed about their day, or even just during the day. Like I'll just glance over and it just I keep letting go, letting in, letting go, letting in, letting go, opening up. So that's the beauty of the practice.
I love it. I think that we need to have these little reminders, especially when we are stuck in an old way, or as you say, addicted to certainty, uncertainty, whatever. And but we're trying to reprogram something. The brain is the neuroplasticity of brain, like that people talk about that all the time. Like you can actually mold it and have it do something different. But, for people that listen, a lot of my shows are talking about the shift of consciousness and what we can do. And I say in a very practical manner, in a day-to-day boots on the ground sort of a thing, to shift yourself now in this moment, or grab a hold of yourself and go, wait, I'm going down that road. And I know that really doesn't help me. Right. So I'm going to go this other way.
It keeps us home. It keeps us believing, what's the point? What's the point of me going out into the world and speaking?
Yeah.
What's the point of going to a march? What's the point? Because it makes us believe like nothing matters. But the beauty of it is you have no idea. You have no idea with an elevated consciousness how you're adding to the collective. You have no idea. Maybe I listen to people around me all the time, doom and gloom, doom and gloom. I don't believe it. It's not that I don't recognize the moment for what it is, but nobody could tell me what tomorrow is going to be. So I get up every day and I try and I make the best of it. And again, you're not denying any feeling that you have. You're not denying a loss of a job. You're not denying your pain. But what you're saying is, I don't know what tomorrow will bring. And it just lightens the load and it gives you inspiration. To keep going. So my view is that until my last breath, there's maybe.
Maybe there'll be another breath. Yes.
Yeah. Who knows what it's so funny. It has also shifted my relationship with death, because I really don't know. So for me personally, I don't talk about this in my work, but I know that's also a maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just like anything else. So well, I feel like I have an infinite nature. So I'm just like, maybe there is something. I don't even grapple with it anymore.
Yeah. I really love that attitude, because I also think it helps us stop being quite so divisive, or we don't need to, we don't have to completely agree with everybody in order to figure out how to get along or even love them, right, at some level. Yeah.
But absolutely, like, maybe also helps me in my relationships because maybe it will be different this time, or maybe there's something more. It's a constant reassessment of what I think the moment's gonna be. But also the fact that you're not worrying as much, your life becomes more present. So if there's joy in front of you, people give their joy away every day for the future, right? They're so obsessed with what's going to be, right? That there's no moment, there's no today. So for me also, it's like a practice of joy and gratitude, because you could quiet your mind and say, okay, but what's in front of me as well. So it's a practice of presence as well as alleviating the stress and the worry. And it also helps you with the past, right? Because I say regret is a reverse maybe. Because what we're doing is we're saying, had I made a different choice, my life would be better today.
Yeah.
But the truth is, you don't know the twists and turns that you're going to have. It's funny, regret has like a perfect story, but everything in life has twists and turns. And for all we know, everything that's happened to the two of us has brought us to this very moment.
Yeah.
And with the hope and possibility that maybe we could still create the life that we want. So it's so interesting for me. It kind of I can't regret, because I know I have no idea what would have happened. I know I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I know the moment's filled with infinite possibilities. So for me, maybe kind of takes me in a great place, past, present, future.
I love it. We're going to take a little station break, but my guest today, Allison Carmen, and she is the author of the audiobook, Maybe Everything is Okay, A Parent's Guide to Less Stress and Worry. We'll bring parents in the second part. But I just want to say, yeah, what she said. Absolutely. It's the Loretta Brown. Don't go away. And remember, when we come back, we're also going to draw a card, a maybe card for all the listeners. You're going to want to come back for that. We'll be right back.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section and after Dad's back injury. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Trouble with opioids can start at home with unused medicines such as pills, patches, and syrups. You can remove the risk and protect your family. Find out how at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Did you know that Reiki healing can be done at a distance? It's true. So let Reiki Oasis focus powerful energy to help relieve your stress, grief, sadness, anger, and so much more. Convenient, personalized treatments at a distance can increase lightness of being. During your appointment, find a quiet place to lie down or sit to receive healing energies. If you want help with your dis-ease, visit ReikiOasis.com. Harness life's energy. Visit ReikiOasis.com today.
Alternative Talk 1150 is your sports organization's safe bet when it comes to airing your team's games. Our players are all seasoned professionals when it comes to sports programming. Imagine your games being heard on local radio. Your team deserves the MVP treatment. Call 425-653-1150 today to learn how affordable and fun it is to broadcast your games on the radio. Call 425-653-1150 and make your next season something special. That's 425-653-1150.
Talk radio with a purpose. Alternative Talk 1150.
Woohoo, yeah, that's the perfect song. Thank you, Betty. Yeah, exactly. Welcome back. Yeah. Welcome back to the original Loretta Brown Show with my guest, Allison Carmen. And she's the author of the audiobook, Maybe Everything is Okay. And just a reminder that these shows are archived. You can go download them for free at the archives on KKNW 1150 AM for the original Loretta Brown Show. And of course, we're on YouTube, iTunes, Podcast One, Megaphone X. Well, I don't know. I'm sure Spotify. I'm sure I've left somebody out. We're out all over the place. Please go look it up. And then, Allison, what is your website?
It's AllisonCarmen.com.
Okay.
And
Great.
my podcast is 10 Minutes Less Suffering, and it's also on Spotify, Apple, and all those great platforms.
All those platforms, right?
There are so many of them now.
I know. I lose track of it after a while. Just go Google it. You'll find it, right? You said something fantastic during the break, and you were talking about being fearless. And before we took a break, we were talking a little bit about regret and how regret, really, I actually am just going to say this. Regret to me is people look back and they think if they would have done that other thing that, oh, well, that was the perfect path. Right. But you don't know. Right. But
right.
Yeah.
It always does. But the story is perfect. I would have gone into business with Bob. We would have made a lot of money. You could have made the wrong turn on the street. Had you could have no idea where your life would have been. Bob could have cheated. Bob could have stolen money. Bob, you could have made the bad deal, even though, because what happens is you see how successful Bob is today, right? Yeah. And Bob asked you to go into business 20 years ago. So you're so sure Bob was the savior, but we have no idea really, because you change one thing, your entire life changes. And so there's no point. And the fact that in this moment, there's infinite possibilities, that I always say, the regret is a reverse maybe. And again, I said this before, here I am with the hope and possibility that maybe I could still have the life that I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you made a comment, being fearless in the dark makes, I don't remember exactly, something about makes it easier to be fearless in the light, or being fearless in the light makes it easier to be fearless in the dark. Maybe both ways.
Everything has a front and back, but we were talking about how, you could see in society that sometimes there are people out there and perhaps they're doing fearless things that are not positive for society. And there's this energy of fearlessness, and I call it fearlessness in the dark. But for me, that fearlessness is a vibration. It's an energy. So for me, if there's fearlessness, I could have that too. So for me, the more emboldened someone could be fearless on the dark side, for it taps me into the fearlessness in the light. It shows me that fearlessness exists. So I'm going to bring it to the side of light, elevated consciousness for the good in the world. So for me, the more I see things going the way I don't want them to go, and people are acting out, the more ignites me to have that same fearlessness on the light side.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you even said that maybe you love uncertainty. I kind of love a challenge. When things come along, I'm like, oh, okay, well, so what are we going to do here? Right. Yeah. So I love this idea of putting maybe into that equation of finding our way forward. Why is this concept of maybe so important to parenting?
Though it's interesting for me, out of all the areas of my life, I've struggled the most with parenting, because we could detach very easily from certain things. I think the Buddha said all attachment leads to suffering, right? And so I could be at work and have a practice and be like, I'm going to detach from this. I could be okay with this work problem. I could leave this job. I could detach from a home, but I cannot detach from my children. I have this need for them to be okay. Now, there are many ways to be okay, but if I need anything in my life to be a certain way, I will suffer. And I know that from my practice. I think a lot of us know that, but I need my kids to be okay. So I started examining, like, I am suffering so deeply if they were hurt at school, if they didn't get something they wanted, if they didn't feel well. But then I realized that part of my suffering was from the attachment I had for them to be okay, but the other part was my fear of the unknown. And so I started to apply the idea of maybe to parenting. It didn't take all my stress away because I still had that need for them to be okay, but all that fear of uncertainty, most of our stress and worry in parenting is about that. I'm worried they're never going to have another friend. I'm worried if they don't get into that college, they won't be okay. They need to make that soccer team. They don't feel good. How will they get better? And the minute I applied the uncertainty principles of maybe, I brought more hope in and less stress and worry. It's almost like this calmer place. And then you parent better because when you're hysterical, when you're beyond stress, you have this desperate energy.
Yeah.
You don't always make the best decisions for yourself or your child. So for me, out of all the areas, maybe has helped the most in parenting because it was the place I was really most rigid.
Can you give us an example? Maybe, I was thinking when you were talking, and you'll figure this, you'll figure out how to take it down the direction. There's so many things. People are concerned for the safety of their children. There's bullying going on. There's, cyberbullying or whatever. There's illness that comes in. There are some really difficult things, and guide us through that with that maybe concept. Right.
Well, it's so interesting because one of the chapters in the book was about maybe teachers for me. And it was with certain parents who were really facing unbelievable moments. My girlfriend, her son had leukemia. We didn't know that that's what was going to happen. And she would go to the hospital every day. And one day she came to my house and she said, I'm so scared that he's not going to be okay, that he's not going to make it. Everybody's telling me to be positive. But the minute I'm positive, the negativity comes back in because I don't really know. She said, Allison, the only thing I have is maybe. So what I do is every day, I start off very simply. Maybe there's something that we can experience together today. And they're both artists, so they would both sing and this. And then she would say, maybe he'll be okay. And maybe everything will work out. And there was not a thought that could battle the maybe. See, if you're forcing yourself to be positive when you have negativity, the negativity will overcome the positive thinking. But nobody could tell her she didn't have maybe. So that brought the hope into her heart. And her son did get better. And now he's got a great job and he's an artist and a graphic designer. But that's what saved her. And I have another a colleague of mine whose son he's in a wheelchair, he can't go to the bathroom himself. And we didn't even talk about maybe, but that idea kind of was how he parented. And he started a sled hockey league, and now he goes to NYU, he goes on the subway by himself. So this idea of thinking a certain way really helps lift people up. And yeah, sometimes terrible things happen, but whatever is happening in your life, there's something in this moment. And that's what they've all showed me. They've all showed me presence, but also hope. And again, the battle between the positive and the negative is what really, I think, hurts parents the most.
Yeah, I actually think it does. And I when you were talking, I was thinking about, when people try to do this, like 100% positive affirmation, everything's going to be just fine. You're going to get well. You're going to, tomorrow you'll be up and running around, whatever. The reality is that the insides at some point start screaming and yelling, going, shut up, like, no, right?
Yeah, because we have to allow our feelings, right?
Yeah. So maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then it also calms you down. Like if your child is having a problem with school, with children, you probably in your heart want to run to school and yell at all those children, and then call the parents and yell at all the parents. Like deep in your heart, you want to stop it, right?
Yeah.
But that's not, you can't. Sometimes all you could do is love your child. and help them through it at home. Sometimes you have to call the school. Sometimes it passes. All I know is that when I'm in maybe and I realize that my child could still find their way and the situation could change, I'm more present. I have hope in me, and I'm going to make the best decision in the moment. Because without maybe, you're so desperate for that answer. You're so desperate for that resolution. And often, sometimes there are no resolutions, but often patience is needed. And maybe gives you patience to parent with more ease and more calm. And we don't realize, I mean, I think the Surgeon General came out last year with an advisory calling parents' mental health. It's a crisis. There was a study that 41% of parents are too overwhelmed to function. And 48% are overly stressed every day to a point that it's harming their health. And I think it's because, there's a lot going on in the world. There's wars, there's pandemics, there's environmental issues, and then there's no universal childcare. Sometimes people don't have good health insurance. There are so many reasons, and yet at the same time, you need your child to be okay.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at all of that, there has to be a place within you that you hold this hope.
Yes.
And that you believe that the future can be better.
Yeah.
And things can change. And when you do that, you're more calm, you're more patient, you're more loving. I know for me also, maybe puts me in my heart.
Yeah.
Because fear and stress are going to put me in my head. And so for me, it's been the biggest gift. And I still parent that way. Both my children are, one's in college, one's working. And every day it never ends. Parenting. It's a long road, but maybe it's a gift. It's a gift to reduce the suffering for any parent and hold the hope, because your child does have hope and they have a life's path that will unfold. And most of the time there's a lot more potential than we could see in any given moment.
I really think what you're saying is so important. From the standpoint, like I'm an energy worker, a spiritual worker. And one thing that we do know is that we do emote, we emit. And when we're so churned up and running in circles with our hair on fire, it doesn't actually contribute anything. And it quite often can rile up children. I remember when I was little or younger and I had my baby, my mother, God rest her soul, has passed on to the other side, had 8 children. I called her one day and I was crying on the phone going, my son just won't stop crying, like I'm just fit to be tied. And so she just listened and she said, well, the first thing is you need to exhale, get a drink of water, and you need to do what you can to calm yourself down. And I guarantee your baby will calm down. And it worked. Right? But it is that maybe thing. It's like, well, maybe there's something that I can do differently here. Right. And also you're tapping us into our own personal journey, our spiritual journey, or our idea of, if I want them to be okay, maybe I need to be a little bit more okay. And then also, because there's a lot in this, recognizing that our children are unique souls on their own journey.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's really, for a parent, it's a hard concept. It, right? I think, they don't come for us, they come through us, right?
Yeah.
And yet, because we need them to be okay. So if someone would come to us and say, let them do whatever they want, I guarantee you they will have wonderful, beautiful lives, we wouldn't say a word. The reason why we care about them joining the team, we care about the college, we care about the friends, because we just want them to be well and happy. And their path scares us because it might be something that we don't understand. So again, that's another maybe practice, And then they have boyfriends or girlfriends or partners or marry. And again, you're like, and with but again, we just want that guarantee of okayness. At the end of the day, it's all about, do we feel okay or don't we feel okay? Do we think our kids are okay or they're not okay? Because if we would know, I don't think we would care as much what their path was.
Yeah, I don't either. How do we pass this idea of maybe along to our children? How do we do that? Do we just teach it to them? Is there a way to do that?
Oh, yes. With my children now, they just use maybe statements because they're old. But if they're at a decent age, you could take them through the original practice. Like, what's your greatest fear? I'm afraid I won't make friends. I'm afraid I won't do okay on my math test. Are you absolutely certain that fear is true? No, mom, dad, I can't be certain. And then you write maybe statements with them. And when they're younger, sometimes I would draw like a big circle with my child, and I wouldn't even name the circle, and I would ask them to put their biggest fear in the circle. I'm not going to do on my math test, and so there would be a big circle, and it would be a little circle and a big circle, and then I would say, well, there's so much more room in the circle. What else could happen? And they might put a couple more fears down, but then they put other things down too. So then all of a sudden they're looking and they're like, oh, different things can happen. And children love maybe statements.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah.
I mean, when
Yeah.
anyone who has the cards, they send me pictures with their children and the cards because they want to be maybe thinkers more than we do because they have less trauma, less, less of the past. So they love it. Like maybe I can do well. Maybe I don't need to be good at math. Maybe I could. It's so cute and adorable when you watch a child realize that they have hope. The thing that happened once with my daughter, I don't know if you have time. She was a positive thinker when she was young. And she wanted to make this play. I don't know, maybe she was in 5th grade and it was The Wizard of Oz. And it was the first time she tried out, and then she didn't make the play. And she kept going to the list thinking her name was going to appear. And she came home and she's like, Mom, positive thinking doesn't work. And over time, we practiced the maybe, she really embraced maybe. She took singing lessons, she played guitar, but it was maybe that made her try out again. And she ended up getting very into theater, got a starring role. She actually did a lot of performing in college. And it was interesting that she went from the positive thinking would have not enabled her to try out again. And it was the maybe that really opened her up. It made her almost fearless, right? Because she knew that things could change. So
I love it. I love the circles and I love the maybe. So let's draw a card for the listening audience, shall we? Let's kind of tune in a little bit and kind of find out what it is that would people need.
I'll let you use your magic to tap in, your Reiki magic to tap.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So the card I am pulling is, oh, look at this one. Maybe I will get this job or another great one. So for anybody out there who is worried today about their job or their economics or the market, you have maybe in your job and maybe in your life. So that's interesting that I pulled that one.
Well, like I told you, I've got this interesting synchronicity. So I have this week talked to 4 or 5 different clients who are in that position of needing a job. And so I send that out to them, and I send that out to everybody else listening, sitting down with that. And maybe I love this idea of maybe in doing this, exploring it, opening yourself up to some way. Yeah. So you have already been talking about this, but the idea of maybe sounds to me like it has evolved and grown through the years with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think when I first got introduced to the idea, it was about stress and worry. And now it's so deep because it's a relationship that I have with the unknown within the unknown of my own self-doubts and of the world and of my daily life. So it's become a life perspective. And this understanding that we have this deep need to be okay. And every day we lose that feeling of okayness because we believe that the future's not going to turn out the way we want, or the next moment. So it's become very deep. And what's so interesting too is that, oh, it sounds like this little word, but the first time you use it, it takes you from a place of deep fear and stress, and it lightens it a little bit. But you could also develop faith. And I think that's what's key, that certain parts of my life, I just have faith now because I have faith in the unknown. And maybe it's the bridge because it starts in a cognitive way, and then you live in your heart with the relationship with uncertainty. For my children, I still use the maybe practice.
Yes.
But I think because of my attachment, but with a lot of areas of my life, I just wake up and uncertainty is my best friend, because if I want my life to change, it has to happen in the unknown.
I really just am so grateful for you to be on the show today. You're very, very timely. I think that moving ahead, that this maybe mindset, in my opinion, is something that is vitally important in order to move us forward as a society, as parents, as individuals, and as we step into the next section of what it is that we're creating and evolving into here on planet Earth. So, Allison Carmen, thank you so much for being here. Final last words to the listening audience.
Life has maybe. Again, it sounds so simple, but the first time today you're stressed, you're worried, try it and you'll see. And even if you just get a little more light, a little more hope, that will change everything. Maybe it'll change everything.
I love that so much. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. And maybe you're just going to have the best week you've ever had, the best day. And really, really, really check out Allison Carmen. And once again, Allison, thank you so much. Everybody be blessed. Enjoy the moon. Don't go crazy. Betty Mathers, you are absolutely the best. Thank you, Dale. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Loretta.